Welcome to Accelerate My Practice. So glad you could join me here today. Today I want to talk about the sales funnel. And I want to do it because you guys are all headed into your fiscal year end. It's about closing Cerec sales, closing 3D sales, closing all those big tickets that drive business for you. And so the question becomes, what can we do to further that process and have you hit your numbers? So I want to spend some time with that. I would have a very precise plan in place. I would sit down before you walk in and plan everything out. And I want to illustrate this via a visual tool. So I'm going to go to the board and draw this up for you. And what I want to discuss here is what I would call the sales funnel, if you will. And what that is imagine you have a funnel here. And everyone's familiar with this concept of a sales funnel, right? We all have all these people that they go in it. We want them to end up down here because this is where we make the cash. And so the trick becomes, how do we pour more people in here? A little too high. How do we pour more people in here to where we get the results we want? We're trying to sell this person a Cerec. And so we start up here in this process, and sometimes through the process they go, oh, I love my lab person, or ooh, my accountant says no, or ooh, my wife says no, or this just costs too much. And what ends up happening is you got a funnel that's full of holes. This hole right here is it costs too much. This hole here is I want to think about it. This one is my accountant says no, and this one is my wife, and this one up here might be that the aesthetics. So there's however many excuses you want. But by contrast, if you can deal with these things proactively before they become an objection, you'll get better results. So using Cerec as an example, let's start off with the aesthetics escape hatch that they might use. So the conversation, and granted with the Cerec, this conversation could take place over 2 or 3 visits, over a few months. It depends on what your selling cycle is. But using that as an example, let's start off with the aesthetic conversation. Let's pretend that's the first one we want to have, because without overcoming that, the doctor won't even have a conversation with us. So what we might want to do is bring in some articles where it shows the aesthetics according to third-party validation. And hey doctor, hey, did you know that Cerec won this award for doing aesthetics? Hey doctor, did you know that this person did this regarding aesthetics? And what that allows you to do is come in here and seal off that escape hatch, if you will. So you handle it until you ask them, hey doctor, are you now comfortable with the aesthetics of Cerec? And if they say yes, you can assume it's closed. So now it comes down to some of the financial examples. And the accountant and the wife are kind of the same conversation, but we'll shoot through them separately. So let's assume that you've heard the excuse. And by the way, you know what the top 5 or 10 excuses are because you've heard them a million times. They've kicked your butt. They've frustrated you. Let's script an answer to those top 5 or 10. In this case, I'm going to use 5. And so the accountant one. Hey doctor, oftentimes doctors get really concerned about what their accountant's going to think about this. And so what I have done is I have prepared a very, very thorough explanation of how Cerec fits into this. Because I don't know if your accountant's amazing or terrible. I have no idea, and I don't want to take anything for granted. I just want to be very, very thorough. But you and I talk through it first. Relative to Section 179, I forget what the laws are right now, so I'm just going to use $100,000 as a random example. Because it just changed recently and I don't recall what the change is. But using the $100,000 example is, hey doctor, did you know that by buying a Cerec, most people, they look at buying a Cerec in like October, November, and December. And they do it so they can write it off on their taxes with accelerated depreciation called Section 179. And that's fine and dandy. There's nothing wrong with that. Here's the challenge I see though, or the benefit, depending on how you want to look at it. Imagine if you were to buy the Cerec right now, take the Section 179 accelerated depreciation, send it in with your quarterly estimate. You might not have to pay your quarterly estimate for the first quarter. Now, what's your first quarterly estimate worth? 30, 40, 50,000 in cash, probably 30 grand. So I literally, by doing this, if you were to make this purchase now, you're going to pay us a couple $1,000s a month, of course, because it's financed, but you get to depreciate it right now. And by sending that in with your quarterly estimate, what that will allow you to do is not pay $30,000 in cash right now to the IRS. And all you're having to do is pay me $2,000 a month. How cool is that? Because now what you're doing is you're solving a cash flow problem for the doctor. So if you have all this written out, and preferably can even have this conversation with their accountant, but if you can't, write it out, make sure an accountant puts their stamp of approval on it, they believe it, it makes sense to them as an accountant, and then have that written and scripted as an entire branch. Now when you hand this to the doctor to go to their accountant, guess what happens? We get to close the door. And because now all of a sudden the accountant is going to look at it and go, yeah, they're right. That'd be kind of cool, actually. You would actually pay like $2,000 this month to them, and you would pocket $30,000. Your cash flow is way, way better. You're solving issues for a doctor. So now we need to talk about the wife, and the same conversation happens here. And I would actually take that same conversation and then repeat it. Hey, you're going to pay us you're going to be $28,000 ahead this month because of your quarterly estimate savings. And we're not even talking about the ROI on this. And by the way, your doctors have no idea what ROI is. I would be very, very concrete about it. So if we look at the ROI on this thing, for you, doctor, it's $5,000 a month. And what that means to you is that you get to pay me, you get to take, after you pay me, pay everything, you get to put $5,000 in your bank account every month, after you pay your Cerec bill and your Patterson supply bill for the supplies for the Cerec. What that really means to you is, doctor, you have an extra $5,000 that you can put into your kids' college fund, that you can take a vacation with your wife, that you could surprise your wife with a new diamond ring. What that really means, doctor, is you're going to have some peace of mind and options about what you can do. Because not only did I save you your quarterly, that's a whole other conversation. But in this case, with this ROI thing, you now have cash available to do something completely different and additional. So if you're having a conversation with a wife and you start referencing vacation, and then you look at her and go, hey, does that make sense to you? Are you comfortable with all this cash flow stuff? And if she goes, yep, I am. First off, you're probably done with the sales process at this point, but whatever. It's interesting to see how all these things work out. And of course, with those two examples, I sort of actually already closed that one. And then, of course, we come down here to I want to think about it. The greatest stall in the world that anybody can come up with, because how can you combat it? It's hard to. So it gives you the ability, using the previous examples I went through of, hey, how beneficial would it be for you right now to have that extra $28,000 in your bank account? How beneficial would it be for you to have that additional $5,000 a month for you right now that you get to put in your bank account that's real cash? Because if we create the urgency around that, now all of a sudden when he says he wants to think about it, you can go, I can appreciate that. First off, share with me, what is it? What are your concerns? What is it you want to think about? I get it. I'm a consumer too. I like to think about things as well. So talk to me about what it is that your concern is, and I'm sure it's going to be something price related. Now that we did all this legwork up here ahead of time, it allows us to say, hey, the three most powerful words in sales. Earlier you said that you could use the extra cash from the quarterly savings. Earlier you said that the ROI, that increased cash, was going to be useful to you. I'm challenged, doctor, in trying to understand where your disconnect is. I'm not judging, I'm just trying to understand it, because maybe there's something I'm missing. Because it's just a stall tactic, and if it happens to be cash in this case, and now we can come back, because we laid down this groundwork here, we can come back and reference it how they agreed with us, and them agreeing with us using their own words is a powerful, powerful tool. So if you put that back on them and say, hey, earlier you said that you could use this cash right now. Right now does not fit with I want to think about it. Because your quarterly estimate goes in like soon. And so if we're going to try and do this, we got to do this soon for the quarterly. Now you can do it for the second quarter, of course, no doubt about that. The same rules apply there. But that's like 3 months away. Would you like to do it now and have that cash now, or would you like to wait 2 or 3 months? Check local timing when you're watching this, of course. And that ROI, I get it. You can wait 6 months and do this if you want. But your ROI was $5,000 a month. After you paid all the bills that you get to put in your bank account, wait 6 months, that's $30,000 in cash you lost. Doc, procrastination's expensive. I want you to have that $30,000. I want you to have that in your account. And then you sit there, man, you don't say a word. Awkward silence. You stare them in the face. with a big confident smile. You can't look less than confident. You got to be really, really confident. Staring at him going, "Doctor, will you trust me with this? Will you trust me to integrate Cerec into your practice so you can," and then reiterate all these benefits we hit, right? All the various benefits, the enjoyment, the ROI, the taxes, the aesthetics, the this, that. "Doctor, if we do this Cerec thing now, you get this benefit, this benefit, this benefit, this benefit. And what that means to you is," hit the benefit, hit the benefit, hit the benefit. "And what that really means to you is," whatever it is. More cash in the bank, a vacation with your wife, a diamond ring for your wife that she gets to be all excited about. You got to connect these things to their deepest emotions. It can't be surface level. Too many people with ROI conversations specifically just go, "Ooh, look, there's an ROI of $5,000. And they're like, "I don't know if I know what ROI is. $5,000, huh? I don't get it." "Doctor, what that means to you is that you get $5,000 a month that goes into your bank account. And what that really means to you is now you can buy your wife a beautiful diamond ring and take her on vacation and relax. What that really means to you is she's going to smile and light up like maybe she hasn't in a long time. How would that make you feel, Doc?" So what we need to do is have a very precise plan on how to address these issues, script it out, tested and retested amongst you and your specialist and your boss, to figure out what solves those issues and, most importantly, drives that issue home so you sell more. Hope you enjoyed the show. Look forward to seeing you next week, 7 o'clock Mountain, 9 o'clock on the East Coast. Until then, have a wonderful week.
What if you could have the practice of your dreams? What's holding you back? Imagine a life where you have everything you ever wanted.